The glow of my phone screen cut through the dark like a warning flare. I'd been about to pour a glass of wine and settle into the quiet, my usual Friday night ritual, a little victory lap for the week. I opened my banking app, expecting that small rush of pride I always felt seeing the number I'd built dollar by hard-earned dollar, but the number was wrong. My chest tightened. I scrolled, my thumb shaking, until the transaction appeared like a slap across the face. A personal loan. $25,000. My name. My credit. My future. I stared at the details. The address was my parents' house. A slow, icy certainty crawled up my spine. This wasn't some stranger halfway across the world. This was home. I sank into the couch, the air suddenly too thick to breathe. My mind raced, flicking through every excuse they might give, every lie I'd heard before dressed in the language of family loyalty. But this wasn't just borrowing. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. This was theft. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't thinking about how to fix it. I was thinking about how to fight back. It wasn't the first time money had slipped through my fingers without my consent. Years earlier, it started small, borrowing a little from my savings to help cover a bill. Putting a small store card in my name just for the discount, a family loan that somehow never came back. Each time I was told the same thing. We're family. We help each other. And each time the help only went one way. There was always a story. Always a cause that couldn't wait. My brother's latest big idea that would finally make him successful. My father's insistence that we should invest in each other. My mother's soft plea over the phone. Her voice laced with guilt I was supposed to absorb without question. In our house, La Familia ease to do wasn't a promise. It was leverage. It meant my achievements were communal property, my stability a shared resource, and my boundaries negotiable if the greater good required it. The pattern was clear. Mateo, the golden child, dreamed. I paid for the dreams. And when those dreams collapsed, as they always did, I was expected to quietly clean up the rubble. Every small theft taught them the same lesson. That I could be pushed just far enough without snapping. That loyalty meant silence. That love meant sacrifice, even if it gutted me. But the $25,000 was different. It wasn't another tiny cut. It was the blade drawn all the way across. And this time, I felt something shift deep inside. The years between the first small theft and the $25,000 felt like a slow boil I didn't realize I was in until the water burned. Each violation got bolder. My savings for a condo disappeared after I was told my brother's life was in danger if we didn't cover his debts. A shiny new car appeared in my parents' driveway, the payments mysteriously linked to my name. And the co-signing, the co-signing, always presented as a harmless signature, a formality, nothing to worry about. Every time I hesitated, the same script unfolded, my father's disappointment thick as smoke, my mother's trembling voice asking how I could be so selfish, Mateo sulking like a wounded child in the corner. They knew how to corner me, not with force, but with obligation. Public pleas at family dinners, private ambushes in my apartment. Phone calls laced with just enough panic to override my better judgment. It wasn't just money they took. It was my ability to say no without feeling like I was betraying my blood. They wrapped guilt in the language of love and handed it to me, like a gift I was too ungrateful to appreciate. But the loan changed everything. A cosign was one thing, it still gave me the illusion of choice. This wasn't choice. It was identity theft, clean and deliberate. They hadn't asked because they already knew my answer. And if they could do it once, I knew they would do it again, unless I made sure they couldn't. When I saw the $25,000 loan sitting there in black and white, something in me crystallized. It wasn't the hot, shaky anger I'd felt before. It was cold, clear, and sharp. The kind of anger that doesn't shout. The kind that calculates. This wasn't a mistake. It wasn't desperation. It was a business model I'd unknowingly been funding for years. And now they'd skipped the pretense entirely. My name, my social security number, my future, all signed away without so much as a phone call. I printed everything, the loan agreement, my credit report, the address they'd used. I held the papers like evidence in a trial I was both witness and prosecutor for. I filed the police report that same afternoon, my voice steady, professional, detached, and then I waited. Thanksgiving was coming, the annual theater production of Family Unity. If they could use the holiday as a stage for guilt and manipulation, I could use it for truth. I didn't imagine shouting matches or slammed doors. I imagined silence. The kind that falls when the lie is too big to swallow. I'd played the role of the good daughter long enough. This time, I was coming to dinner as something else entirely. Thanksgiving at my parents' house was always a performance. The smells of roasted turkey and cinnamon, the clatter of serving dishes, the chorus of overlapping conversations. Smiles were currency here, and everyone spent freely. No matter how counterfeit. I walked in carrying two things: a store-bought pie for appearances, and a heavy folder for reality. My mother greeted me with her usual perfume-drenched hug, taking the pie without noticing that my other hand never left the tote strap. Dinner began as it always did. My father at the head of the table, carving knife poised, voice booming with the annual toast. "Family is everything," he said, and glasses clinked. Mine stayed on the table. The silence around my empty hand spread like a ripple. "Something wrong, Anna?" he asked, irritation flickering. I reached into my bag and placed the folder in the center of the table. The thud cut through the noise like a gavel strike. "I think we need a different kind of toast," I said, one by one. I slid documents across the polished wood: the loan agreement, the fraudulent card application. "This debt, it's not mine, it's yours." Gasps, denials. My mother's hand flew to her chest. Mateo stared at his plate. My father's voice dropped into a growl. "This is a private matter." "Not anymore," I said, my voice steady. "You did this in the dark. I'm bringing it into the light." I didn't yell, I didn't plead. I simply left the evidence between the mashed potatoes and the cranberry sauce. A centerpiece they couldn't ignore. When I stood, the chair legs scraped across the floor like a closing chapter. "I've already filed a police report. My name is mine. My future is mine." And then I walked out, leaving the feast behind for good. The night air outside was a shock, cold, clean, and honest. I sat in my car, hands gripping the wheel, heart still pounding from the confrontation. The house behind me was buzzing with the sound of voices, but they were fading, muffled by distance and resolve. I didn't drive home. I drove to Sophia's. She'd been my anchor for years, someone who understood that family could wound as deeply as it could love. She opened the door before I knocked, wrapping me in a hug that didn't demand anything in return. Inside, the warmth wasn't just from the heater, it was in the quiet space she gave me to breathe. The chamomile tea she pressed into my hands. The way she didn't rush me to speak. When I finally did, the words tumbled out the folder on the table. My father's anger, my mother's tears. Sophia listened without judgment, only nodding, her eyes steady on mine. "That wasn't betrayal," she said. "That was self-preservation." Later, David arrived, practical as ever, with legal advice and a container of soup. No guilt trips, no manipulation. Just helped it, hit me then. This was family too, the kind that didn't take, only gave. And I wasn't going back. Months have passed since that night, and my life feels lighter. The loan is disputed, repayment agreements are in place, and my accounts are locked down like a vault. My parents' voices no longer reach me, only the quiet hum of my own peace. The condo fund grows, dollar by deliberate dollar. Friends fill my home with laughter that asks for nothing in return. I used to think family was defined by blood. Now I know it's defined by respect. So I ask you, what's the price of your peace? And when will you stop letting others set the sail?